Hey guys, we are doing a little kind of story time, I guess you could call it. We're just going to be talking about how both of us kind of got into racing, our first races, stuff like that. So let's just jump right into it. And I'll edit that. Okay. All right. So I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So as weird as this is going to sound, I started out on a Walmart four-wheeler. Oh, and by the way, we haven't talked about this together yet, so
Yeah,
this will be, yeah.
fresh.
Yeah. So I started out on a pink camo 50 quad from Walmart, and I think I got it for like my 6th birthday. Rode it around the yard a little bit, and then I got on like a TTR 90, which I don't even know if they make those anymore, and it had training wheels. I rode it around a little bit more. Wasn't a fan of it. And then I kind of got stuck, like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was so young and I was bouncing all over the place. And so I tried swimming, I tried triathlons, baseball, softball, basketball, flag football, ballet, cheerleading, like everything you can imagine I tried. And I kind of sat down with my dad one night and I was talking to him like, I kind of really want to start getting into racing more. And I was kind of at the tail end of his career, so I saw the end of it. But I was still at the races when I was born and stuff until I was like 4 or 5. So I saw a bunch of like kind of what it took. Didn't really know what it meant right there, but now I do. So I kind of sat down with him, talked about it, and he told me, he's like, if you are willing, to suffer, it's this sport is a lot of suffering. You put your body through mental and physical every single day. So I agreed to it, and I did my first race. It was to this date probably still the muddiest race I've ever done.
Says a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a PW 90. It was a moto race. I think it was like Sunny Set Ridge or something in uh, Berea. I think I know it was in South Carolina, but I did that. Don't even know if I made the second moto. And then pretty much just started doing Mid East from there. And I grew up in Mid East until I was on big bikes. Um, kind of like 2 years ago, I kind of stopped going, but ever since then, I spent 12 years pretty much of my life at Mid East and started going to GTCs when I was on 65s. I would do the locals kind of when we did, I think it was like Big Buck, Camp Coker, Steel Creek was still in the mix, Georgia, kind of just about 5 a year I would do. And then about 2017, we decided to do, we were going to do all of them. And I think we did like 9 out of the 11 that year, or 12 out, something like that. We did 9 that year, which was huge for us. And still doing Mid East. And then I kind of got into some full gas races here and there. And then 2018 is when I won my first championship, and on my YZ85 in the girls class. And yeah, I mean, we battled the whole time. I think there was like 3 of us going at it every race, and me and Jocelyn, we've been, like I said before in another video, we've been racing against each other since 2017. So it's pretty cool to see us both in the WXC class now, but definitely a lot of missing out. You don't realize it until you look back. You just because I didn't go to parties in middle school, high school, or wasn't the cool kid. Like I now am grateful that what dirt bikes has taught me in life, and um, just grateful I got into it. I think it turns people into great humans, and everyone there is a team. And I just remember my first race, like, this is great. I'm so glad it's raining and I'm like 6 years old. I just
Having fun.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely have had a lot of memories in racing and met so many different cool, crazy people during this time, and hopefully to meet more. And
Yeah.
but
Have a bunch of stories too.
yeah, and then I used to go when I was a little bit younger, my dad does like the Yamaha demos. So I would travel with him when I was in middle school and like end of elementary school to all the demos that he did during the summer break. And he had a YZ85 at the time on the demo truck. And we would strap it, like get a ratchet strap and strap it down so I could touch there for a little bit. And dirt bikes have taken me a lot of cool places. I think furthest I've ridden is Washington State, California, South Dakota, North Dakota, stuff like that. Everywhere. I mean, I think I've been to 45 states and I've probably ridden in about 43.
That's pretty awesome.
So it's been a really fun experience, and dirt bikes have honestly made me who I am. And I think a lot of people could say that. So
yeah, I agree.
Yep. But definitely a big change. You know, you start out, everyone starts out the slowest in their group, whoever your group is. Mm-hmm. Everyone probably starts out the slowest in their group, and then they're always like, man, like I wish I could just beat someone. And you finally, I mean, I'm not beating everyone in my group, not at all, but you grow with your group, and you know your group gets faster, and you always want to ride with a little bit faster people. So.
And sometimes it changes over time. A lot of people quit riding. I don't understand as to why at this point, but yeah. So
yeah, that's my little background story. I've been racing. This will be my 12th or 13th year race. This will be my 13th year racing. So it's been a long journey.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No. I don't think so.
Okay. So I was a little late to the ball game. It's not a ball game, but you know what I mean. I didn't do my first race until I was 16 years old. I had a dirt bike and just rode it around in the yard a couple times kind of thing. Wasn't a big, this is what I'm going to do kind of thing. Didn't strike me as interesting or fun. And I always did school sports, and so it was swim team for a while, and then it was just basketball and softball, and that was my focus points. And whenever I reached high school, all I wanted to do was letter in whatever sport it was that I was doing, which at that time it was still basketball and softball my freshman year. And then I lettered in softball my freshman year, and I'm like, cool, what do I do now? Because I knew I didn't want to go to college to play softball. That's not something that interested me. I don't know why, but it was I reached my goal, and now what? And basketball, I had a really messed up ankle in middle school. I tripped over somebody, which is dumb, and I broke 2 bones in my foot and tore a tendon, and then had some ligaments that frayed apart as well. So it took 2 surgeries to get it correct, and I actually had another surgery freshman year on that. So running was not going very well for me, and basketball was not going well. So sophomore year, I decided not to play basketball, and I continued to play softball. And that's kind of when I was starting to get a little bit bored with it, because I reached my goal freshman year. Everybody's thinking about college and what to do after high school. I'm why do I don't know. Why do we have to think about it today?
Yeah.
Is kind of where I was at. And so it was May of my sophomore year. It was 90-ish degrees, and my family was getting ready to go to a moor race. And I love summertime. I love sweating. I love being outside. I love warm temperatures. So I thought it was a great idea for my dad to pack my bike that I've ridden a couple times in a yard and my gear. So I went with them, and I didn't know what I was doing. And the super cool thing about the Moore series, they've always been about the women since they've started. So on Saturdays, this is what I did first. They do a ladies program on Saturday that's a 35-minute race on a Pee-wee track, which is the same as a 65 and an 85 course. So it's a lot easier than the AM or PM courses. And it's an easy way to ease into it if you have no idea what you're doing. At least that's how I felt, or what I thought. And so anyway, I don't remember much about that specific race. I remember a lot after that one. I finished. I got second place, and I was super stoked, and I knew it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, and that's what addicted it to me was how hard it was and like how much work it required, and it's like it just didn't come easy to me. Like I'd say the fact that I was able to beat people, it wasn't like I was the worst like person, I guess, on a bike considering the amount I've rode. So that made me feel a little bit better as like a confidence booster. But it was tough, and I was on the ground a lot. And sweepers basically had to follow me, kind of thing, and it went on like that all season. I raced against Steve Levan's sister Stephanie at my second race, and I was like super stoked because I'm like, she's gonna, I just want to beat her, kind of thing. And she let me by because she said I was like a lunatic and riding out of control. So she let me by, and then I crashed my brains out and I'll have to find a picture of it. Got a fat lip. Like, I mean, it was huge from hitting a tree head on. And she drove by me, and she thought to herself, what a dumb kid. I'm not letting her by again. So she beat me, and after that, she's not raced since because, you know, she's on a winning streak. She's never lost a race, so why start back again? Is what she said.
That's really good, actually. That's a good way to go out.
Yeah, and then towards the end of the season, I was battling. I was in second pretty much all year, and I remember towards the end of the season, I just wanted to get that win so bad, and I was taking all of these crazy like passing lines, just like riding aggressive. It made one of the sweepers nervous. He had told me, but anyway, I got the job done. I mean, I won my first race at the end of that season at the last race in Otterville. So that was just like, I was still playing like softball at that time, so I wasn't like fully committed to dirt bikes, and so I didn't really realize all the work you needed to do to like actually be good in it. That took a little bit of time, like pretty much 3 or 4 years. I was just like going to the races and not riding in between, so I was like only getting better if I was racing. And so I went through a phase where I raced every single weekend, even in the winter. I didn't have an off season. We just raced every weekend. It was more Missouri hare scrambles. We went to a couple forward motions, and then the Hillbilly Grand Prix. The turning point for me is whenever I started to actually find my speed. I raced the 100 miler, and I passed a girl on a log, and logs are my weakness still to this day. And I passed her, and I won that race after being dead last off the line because it was so cold and I couldn't feel my start button to start my bike, which is dumb, but it was like 20 degrees and raining. So they were to the woods by the time I got my bike started, and I had to like pass all of them. So it was super cool. And that was like my turning point. Like, yeah, I actually want to work for this. Like, I want to actually start going to the gym and lifting weights and like making myself better and practicing and doing all the things and eating like healthier and caring and whatnot. So the next season, like I start that. The 100 miler is always Thanksgiving weekend. So over the winter, that's whenever I started to actually like work out and do things off the bike and whatnot. And that next season, there was a couple girls that were going to the Moore series at the time, and like they were so fast. Like at the time, there was a group of us that were about the same, and then they were like here, and we were all like down here. And so it was my goal just to beat them, like just to be where they were, like hang with them a little bit. Like that's all I wanted. And I, like, for whatever reason, I don't know why I doubted myself, but I didn't think it was possible. Like, self-doubt is like something I've always struggled with, and I'm sure a lot of people do, and I think we should talk about that more often. But I kept doing the work, and I kept going through it and doing everything I could. And eventually, like halfway through the season, there was, I think it was fair play. I remember I got them on the start, both of them, and there was a long field section. And usually in Missouri at our races, we don't have a lot of fields. It's nothing like what I see at GNCC's, like in the slightest. I didn't know how to grass track, so it was a long straight stretch, and like down at Fair Play, there's not a lot of rock. It's just dirt, so you don't have to worry about that there. And I remember hearing the girls behind me like getting ready to pass me, and I told myself, just twist it just a little bit more. Don't let them by. And I did. I did that, and I got to the woods before they did, and I ended up beating them both. Like, I stayed ahead of them the entire time, and like that was like, holy cow, I can do this turning point. And I didn't start doing any national races until like I did the St. Joe National Enduro like a couple times, and then I hated it the first time. I don't know why. Like I never wanted to race an enduro again. But Meg, my friend, talked me into doing it again. And that year, Tayler, that was her first year over here, I think, and she did the full enduro season, and I think she won it that year. I got second, and I think that's when that class was women's AB. Literally got on the national podium, and I was like, holy shit, I don't understand what just happened. Because, like, we had, like, 10 girls that day. I don't really remember all the names. I know Tayla was obviously the heavy hitter, but there was a couple that should have beat me that didn't. And so that next year, I wanted to start traveling more, and my parents knew that. And so my dad decided that me and him would do all the national enduros together. And so, like, after I left the state of Missouri and started seeing more places and riding them more places, like, my brain just, like, exploded. Like, it's so different than Missouri, like, everywhere out east. Like, it's nothing comparable, but I love it. And it's so cool to see the different places and meet all the different people and different terrains and whatnot. And that, I think, is what's kept me, like, sucked into it. Not only how hard it is and then wanting to do good, but also, like, getting to see all the cool stuff and meeting new people. And it's like me as a person, I would say dirt bikes has like changed my life, kind of like what you were saying. Mm-hmm. I think they've made me better as a person because it taught me work ethic and what you got to do to actually get something you want. Like, it's not just handed to you; you actually got to do the work, especially if you want to be good at anything. And it's like that in anything you do, not just dirt bikes. And so I think just like the biggest thing that I've brought to the table from racing a dirt bike is my work ethic, 100%. I don't know what else I was going to say. Doing GNCCs now, still doing national enduros. So 2019, it's 24, so 5 years now. Yeah, just addicted to the traveling as I was then as I am now. I do want to show a picture. This is from my first race. That's me in a cowboy hat. Real farm girl. The old Honda. So yeah.
Definitely shows that, it doesn't matter how slow you start out and what your gear looks like at first and what your graphics look like at first, and it don't matter. Like all the 50 dads at the last moto race this past weekend, I mean, you could hear them cussing up a storm. You would have thought they were talking to a logger truck guy. Like, just disgusting. It's just like, why? Like,
yeah, dirt bikes are fun. Like,
they're 5. Like, like, you're not. I don't know. I look at like a Caleb Russell. He wasn't really anything until, honestly, big bikes. He didn't win much, and I don't know if he won any overalls in youth, but I know he wasn't, like an up and comer. It didn't look like in youth, and then all of a sudden he's a 8-time champion, 7, 8, like, just crazy. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how slow you start and how hard you have to work at it. And like, I remember him saying in one podcast, the difference between him and Thad is Thad can do half the work and still be right there with Caleb, and it would make Caleb mad because he would put twice as much into it. But, there's just some people that have that much more talent, but you got to mix it with talent, work ethic. Mm-hmm. It takes two. So
yeah, just look at like any of the greats, like Kobe Bryant. Like, if you listen to any of the things that had him on podcasts before he passed away, like, his mentality is spot on. Mm-hmm. And like, Tim Grover was his trainer, and he's wrote 2 books. And I like, if you guys would just sit down and read, I really recommend both of those books. First one's called Relentless, and the second one's called Winning. It literally teaches you about the mentality of what it takes to win. And either you got it or you don't, and either you want to do the work or you don't. Yeah. And yeah. And it also, like, whenever I read those books in that time period, there's a lot of people that didn't understand, like, why I wanted to go to the gym and why I felt like I needed to ride 3 or 4 times a week, and then why I have also raced on the weekend. Like, it caused a lot of friction in a lot of my relationships, whether it was a significant other or a friend. Like, some people just didn't understand it. And so, like, it made me feel like I was legitimately crazy, especially some of the things that was being said to me. Like, I thought I was a psychopath for wanting to do what I was doing. But then I read that book and I was like, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. Like, there's more of us out there. So if you feel that way, read it.
Yeah, I would say there's, I guess I didn't go to high school. Went ahead and did online schooling after 8th grade. And that's kind of the new, I guess, trend now is homeschooling for moto kids. And even like, I just didn't feel a need to really go to high school. Like, there wasn't like I didn't want to go kind of thing. Like, I was okay with homeschooling because my mom did ask me, she's like, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. And then, just her and my dad, explained to me what I was really going to miss. And it's like, you lose a lot. Like, I don't know. I don't really know how to say this nicely, but to become a champion, there's only a select few people that are on your side, that are truly happy for you, that are truly your friends, that really want to, like, that were there for you the whole time. They're not there for you because you're winning or anything like that, or like they were there from the beginning. And I think that was kind of like, yeah, I didn't have many friends. I had like a group. Everyone kind of has their own group, but I wasn't obviously, like, I wasn't a cool girl in middle school, and I was okay with it because it's like I'm doing what I love, and you don't have to have a million friends at all. Like, as long as you have your select few and they support you through racing and or whatever it is. And I think that's kind of like a big thing with some people.
High school wasn't that cool.
Coming
from somebody
I don't know.
It's full of drama, which if you need that in your life, you can go to a GNCC and get right in the middle. Just throwing it out there. And then, yeah, like prom. I went to prom once. Wasn't fun. There was parties. Not really my thing. Didn't have, like, I wasn't ever in the in group, and I didn't really care to be, because like I just wanted to like do what I wanted to do and not like fit the mold.
Well, there's a certain percent of kids that understand young, like, you have to, if I want to be a champion, if I want to be a winner, you know, I can't go see my friends every single day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather go work out. I'd rather go ride. And there's a small percentage, but the percentage of those kids, their work ethic is incredible.
Yeah.
And I see it. I see it in some kids, and then I used to train some kids about a year ago, and you'd see it in some, and you wouldn't in others, and some would be floating around in the middle, and that's okay. Kids always need to make mistakes. That's why we're kids. But worth ethic is one of the biggest things I've seen grow champions.
Yeah. And I think, like, with me, I didn't realize, like, and I don't know how you don't realize this, especially like my background in school sports, why you needed to do like the extra work, why it was so important. Nobody ever like sat me down and said, you should be doing this. Mm-hmm. No, I just figured it out by, I guess, watching other people and then watching my parents. Like, they both work really, really hard here at the shop and whatnot. So, like, seeing them and how they raised me, I'm sure I would have a hard work ethic if it wasn't for dirt bikes, but it kind of opened up the doors of what, like, it actually means to do it. And, like, even when you don't feel like doing it, you still, like, suck it up.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. So I was reading a book, and I didn't take a picture of that page. Cameron Haynes, his book, Keep Hammering is what it's called. He had a good paragraph on, like, the stuff you have to give up kind of thing if you want to win. And Cameron Haynes is a bow hunter, but he treats it like a sport, which is super cool. He's a savage. He goes out in the mountains, and he basically, if he kills an elk, he's going to pack it down on his back by himself. He's not going to use a four-wheeler or any kind of equipment. So he trains to do that, which is super cool. That's why it interests me, because like that's not easy. Like 30 miles from a road kind of thing. Like he's awesome. So he, in that book, he wrote a paragraph on the things like that you give up and that other people don't realize or understand as to why, like going on vacations and like missing training days to go do something that sounds more fun kind of thing versus like doing what you need to do. And it's not really giving it up or missing out. Like you're not missing out, because if in your heart, if you truly want to win, that's going to be worth it in the end. Mm-hmm. You're not missing out in the moment. It's all on how you look at it.
Yeah, I'd agree to that for sure. I think, you know, if you are friends with some people and they just don't really get racing, they'll kind of bring up like, oh my God, you're going to do that again? Like, why are you going to the gym again? You already went this morning. Like, why are you going to ride? You already did your cardio, you know, kind of thing. And you got to be strong minded, and you just got to go, yep, I got to go do it. I want to go do it. You know, like I get to ride my dirt bike today kind of thing. So,
yeah. And that's what it takes. Like literally at any level, no matter what class you're in, if you want to keep getting better, you got to keep doing the work. Yep. It won't be just handed to you. It might at first, like you might get really good results at minimal amount of effort, and then eventually you're going to level out, and then you're either going to, like I see a lot of people where they just disappear, like never hear of them again. So I don't know if that's like getting burnt out, getting bored, or whatever. But if you have the bug, the dirt bike bug, like you're going to have to work hard and be okay with being in pain. Yeah. And in any sport, really.
Yeah, not just dirt bikes. I think you kind of have to, those apply to kind of anything that you want to win at, whether it's and it your could be, job,
winning
anything.
In life.
Yeah.
Like, I think about it all the time, especially here. Like, if I, like, say I wasn't racing and I committed, like, all the time that I do for racing and training and whatnot for it to the shop, like, that would be, like, we're doing okay, don't get me wrong, but, like, that much more work would, like, it would put us up here kind of thing. But right now we're just, like, right here. But me being at the races is helping, so we're not doing that. So it's just, I don't know.
So one thing Tayler and I have kind of agreed on is, you know, if you guys want to hear more about anything, if it's racing, training, eating, lifestyles, anything like that, racing, obviously, you know, tell us, you know, like we don't mind. We love talking about anything. Podcasts are kind of like the new thing right now that are kind of trending, so we're trying to get into that. So leave comments, DM us, Facebook Messenger, anything. We definitely like to touch up on stuff that you guys want to hear about. And yeah, anything you want to add?
We got some wild stories we can share too. At least I do. I don't know about Prestin.
Are you talking dirt bike related?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like stuff I haven't even told you.
Oh gosh. Okay, well maybe I'll leave a comment. Oh, and I think we are up to like 245 subscribers on YouTube. So,
yay! Let's reach 300 this week.
I was just happy at 240.
I'm not.
No, yeah, but we're super excited. Thank you guys for watching us, I guess.
Listening to our...
Yeah, you guys must like it. I hear some people come in the shop and they're like, oh, is that the podcast room? And it's just cool to kind of like, we're small, like we're working our way up, but I mean, it's pretty cool to hear about, like other people talk about it. So, but yeah, that concludes today's video. Make sure to follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and yeah, thank you guys for watching.
See you at the races.